Hari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Pavanata Bharti Yamuna Tira Pavanata Bharti Jaya Radha Master Jaya Radha Baba Punjabi Sahas Jaya Gopi Jana Baba Girivaras Jaya Gopi Jana Baba Girivaras Yasodan Sanna Rajatana Sandan Yasodan Sanna Rajatana Sandan Yamuna Tira Vanajah Yamuna Tira Vanajah Jaya Ram Punjabi Sahari Jaya Taram Madhava Punjabi Sahas Jaya Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhi Vijana Vallabha Girivaradhi Jasodanandana Bhajajana Sanjana Jasodanandana Bhajajana Sanjana Yamunatira Svavanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnu Padra Hamsa Vijakaracharya Jota Shakti Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Padra Hamsa Vijakaracharya Jota Shakti Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande Hari Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, titled Lord Nrsimhadev Slays the King of the Demons, texts 49 and 50. Shri Prajapatayo Chu Prajeshavayam Te Pareshabrishta Nayena Praja Vaishrijamo Nishchidha Sa Isha Tavya Pinna Vaksha Nushete Jagan Mangalam Sattva Murti Vatara Shri Gandharva Uchu Vayam Vibhote Nata Natya Kayaka Yenatmasad Virya Balau Jasakrita Sa Esha Nityo Bhavata Dasham Imam Kim Utpatasta Kushalaya Kalpate Vayam Vibhote Nata Natya Gayaka Yen Atmasad Virya Balau Jasakrita Sa Isha Nityo Bhavata Dasam Imo Kim Utpatayasta Kushalaya Kalpate Vayam Vibhote Nata Natya Gayaka Yenat Masad Virya Balau Jasakrita Sa Isho Nitya Bhavata Dasham Imam Kim Utpatasta Kushalaya Kalpate Sri Gandharva Uchu. The inhabitants of Gandharva Loka, who are usually engaged as musicians of the heavenly planets, said, Vayam, we, Vibho, O Lord, Te, your, Nata Natya Gayaka, dancers and singers in dramatic performances, Yena, by whom, Atmasat, under subjection, Virya, of his valor, Bala, and bodily strength, Ojasa, by the influence, Krita, made or brought, Sa, he, Hiranyakashipu, Isha, this, Nita, brought, Bhavata, by your lordship, Desham Imam, to this condition, King, whether Utpatasta, anyone who is an upstart, Kushalaya, for auspiciousness, Kalpate, is capable. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Prajapatis offer their prayers as follows. O Supreme Lord, Lord even of Brahma and Shiva, we, the Prajapatis, were created by you to execute your orders, but we were forbidden by Hiranyakashipu to create any more good progeny. Now the demon is lying dead before us, his chest pierced by you. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you, whose incarnation and this form of pure goodness is meant for the welfare of the entire universe. The inhabitants of Gandharva Loka prayed, Your Lordship, we ever engage in your service by dancing and singing in dramatic performances. By this Hiranyakashipu, by the influence of his bodily strength and valor, brought us under subjugation. Now he has been brought to this low condition by your lordship. What benefit can result from the activities of such an upstart as Hiranyakashipu? Purport. By being very obedient, by being a very obedient servant of the Supreme Lord, one becomes extremely powerful in bodily strength, influence, and effulgence. Whereas the fate of demoniac upstarts is ultimately to fall down like Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu and persons like him may be very, very powerful for some time, but the obedient servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like the demigods, remain powerful always. They are victorious over the influence of Hiranyakashipu by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Om Yanatarmandasya, Gyananjana Shlakaya, Chakshume Tamyana Tasmai Shri Guve Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are continuing with the prayers from the inhabitants of the various planets to Lord Nrsingadev in order to attempt to pacify him. And Prabhupada made the point in the purport that if one follows the Supreme Lord, then auspicious results come. And if one does not follow the Supreme Lord, then one ultimately falls down, like Hiranyakashipu in the pastimes that we are reading. This seems very strange, or not exactly squared with our experience. We see that there are obedient servants of the Supreme Lord, but they might be in some sort of bodily distress or weakness. The Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON as a whole, uh, doesn't necessarily have the influence that I think we all hope that it would have on the world. And on the other hand, the demoniac people uh, have all the power, right? We see, the governments in business, even in religious systems, demoniac people have taken over all of these institutions. Uh, and it seems like, they're the ones with the bodily strength and the influence. So how do we understand this? Maharaj Yudhisthira even asks uh, that, you know, when one worships Lord Vishnu, who is the husband of the goddess of fortune, the possessor of all opulences, uh, one generally, or many times, becomes poor. Hari uh, comes from the root meaning to take away. Uh, so it is said that he takes away everything from his devotees. While if one worships somebody like Lord Shiva, who lives under a tree, doesn't even construct a hut or a house for himself, one becomes very opulent. So, how do we understand Prabhupada saying that obedient servants of the Lord become powerful in bodily strength, influence, etc.? And there are multiple ways that we can think of this. Of course, the kind of most straightforward answer probably would be that by um, this that if one is interested in these things, bodily strength, influence, things like that, it is better to worship the Supreme Lord, even in that case. We understand from the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj that whatever one's desires, uh, whether one is sarvakama, nirkama, or mokshakama, one has all desires, no desires, or desires liberation, one should approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is able to give all benedictions to the living entities. And by doing so, one becomes purified of the um, material desire that led one to endeavor for those goals in the first place. But if one has those material desires and also performs devotional service, uh, then one can attain those material desires if the person refuses to let them go. And then one may, for example, become a demigod or a Gandharva or a Charna or something like that, and waste tens of thousands of years in the material world, but live in a very opulent sort of lifestyle. Uh, More generally, we can understand that actually it is the mm, society or framework or the methods in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead gives for attaining these desires that uh, is superior to any other uh, mm, means of attaining them. Because if whatever one's goal is, there are various means by which to obtain that goal. And generally speaking, one can either follow in the Vedic system, that is the system given to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or one can follow in the demoniac system. And if one follows in the Vedic system, then naturally these auspicious qualities come to society in general. But if one follows the demoniac system, then one not only um, has the auspicious things taken away, but only inauspiciousness comes. The example can be given of the Brahmana who lost his caste by eating in uh, the house of another social class, but is still hungry. Because even if one tries to obtain these things, disconnected to Krishna's system, uh, one won't be able to enjoy them. Of course, people can't really enjoy uh, material sense objects anyway. But uh, one doesn't enjoy them. It's usually very disappointing. Uh, and One has the bad results of trying to obtain them uh, anyway. Because the whole demoniac mentality is the half chicken philosophy that I want all of the good things, but I don't want the mm, other parts that go with them. I want to overdraw the resources of the earth, for example, but I also want, uh, the earth to maintain balance in its various cycles. Uh, Both of these things cannot happen at the same time. I want uh, the stability of social structures, but I also don't want the social structures to tell me how to be stable. All of these things. Uh, and therefore, the demoniac social systems, the demoniac approach to life, ends up uh, not only failing in bodily strength, influence, effulgence, etc., although it may temporarily manifest those things for a short time, it eventually uh, loses all of those things in very short order of time, and uh, usually ends up being in a worse condition than before. And this can be seen in many different areas of influence. One that comes to mind, because we heard from the Prajapatis, um, we're hearing from the Prajapatis today, and I was talking with somebody about the Prajapatis with somebody yesterday. Uh, and I was thinking that this ultimate failure of the demoniac worldview comes in the realm of worldviews. And it actually all flows out from the philosophical ideas that are present there. Because we understand that the brahmanas, or those performing the brahminical duties, are the heads of society. And therefore, if you have a insane head, but then how can you expect any of the other limbs of the social body to operate in a sane manner? And the so-called scientific theories, the demoniac philosophers, uh, actually have, it actually forms the impetus for all of the other demoniac activities that are existent in the world. The main thrust of the various demoniac theories today is materialism. The idea that the physical world that is here, that we can taste, touch, see, etc., is all that exists, and that there is nothing beyond the physical. And if one just says it like that, uh, it seems like, okay, that's an ontology that one can have. And then there are other ontologies, and it seems a bit academic. Whether I think, one might say that whether I think that the material world is all that there is, or that there is some higher power behind it, then I might go about my day more or less the same way. But that is not the case. It actually has far-reaching societal implications. One can see, for example, the idea of evolutionary theory, Darwinist thinking, transforming, growing into ideas like social Darwinism, the idea that there are uh, certain traits that we should selectively breed for and selectively breed out of the human population. Uh, and then even this idea that you only live once, and so that you should enjoy uh, life as much as you can, and that there's no higher power to overrule or to guide your actions, uh, leads to so many uh, disastrous consequences for society. And it seems like a good thing from a certain sense. It seems like, oh yeah, just let people do whatever they want and find their happiness, and then uh, they will be happy. This, of course, is not the way that things actually work. As one can see in the society now, there's a crisis of meaning that nobody knows how to live their lives anymore. This excess individualism, this hyper individualism, comes at the cost of social relationships. There's so many ways that one can see this play out. So, I think I'm hearing an echo of myself. Uh, we, however, have a different theory of how the universe and world came into being. And we talked about the Prajapatis, or the Prajapatis are, sorry. Can somebody turn off the recording of me from like 5 minutes ago? Sorry, there's uh, lecture going on from somebody's phone that's cross-motionating with me. So where was I? The Prajapatis. Yeah, so on our viewpoint, we come from an ultimately personal source that is um, that is interested in the ultimate welfare of our true self, which is our soul. And the Prajapati model uh, denies totally this materialistic model, in that it, mm, it starts with personality. And this personality is totally transcendent to the material world. It is impossible to start uh, with just regular matter and come to the point of, the Prajapati model. It starts with personality, and not just personality, but supreme personality. Uh, and that means, of course, supreme meaning and structure and a way to make sense of the world, because the world would ultimately come from a sensical place. That is the intentional desire of a supreme person, um, and would um, have a logical structure because it comes from the supreme logic. And actually then gives a system where we can achieve all of these things on both a spiritual and a even a material level. So I will end here. Sorry if I was rambling some. I was told that I would be giving class pretty soon before I started because our normal class giver was unable to today. So sorry if it was rambling. Hopefully somebody has something to add since we have a uh, good amount of time left in the class period. Okay.
Not okay. Hare Krishna.
I will.
I'm in anxiety. I'm afraid the Krishna Katha is going to stop.
Uh,
Tell me, oh,
uh,
and thank you for your class and on short notice.
yeah.
Um, good, good work, all things considered.
Thank
Uh,
you.
good work even without anything considered. Um, so spoke a little bit about leaders,
Mm,
leaders of society. Um,
yes.
would you say that it is a mistake to place any amount of faith in any of the leaders that we see in the world today.
Yes. Uh, yeah, the I'm looking just to see the situation of world leadership today, and basically that they're all demons. Uh, that even the ones that seem good one way or another are corrupt. They're all part of the same cabal, if you want to use that term. Uh, that even if a good leader wants to get in, then the influences are so much that they turn into bad leaders. I think many times that it happens that somebody might even get into politics because they do want to make a difference for, themselves or their community. But the um, influence of the other people there is so much that it overcomes their desire. So they either become corrupted or ineffectual. In either way, that we can't put our trust in them to actually do anything. And there are people who've actually come out and said these things. I remember years and years ago, this former congressman came out. He only did like one term or something. Because he said that, when you go to these parties, that, the politicians and, uh, CEOs and socialites and everybody go to, you have to be okay with all of these devious activities that go on there. Uh, you know, drugs, financial uh, things, sexual deviations, all these things. So he served his term, then got out because he wasn't okay with it. And at the time, everybody was saying like, "Oh, this person is just crazy conspiracy theorist." Now, of course, we understand that all these things do go on a large scale. So even if somebody gets in to these leadership positions with good intentions, the modes of nature prevalent there are so powerful that they end up becoming corrupted. It is only actually if we have a devotee go into these positions that we can actually trust them because they have the ability, they have the protection of the holy name, which is the supreme personality of Godhead himself, in order to fight back against the forces of Maya. So it is possible that we could have a devotee political party. Uh, I remember hearing back in Prabhupada's time, back in the early days, as they say, there was some devotees that got together and tried to form a political party. But yeah, it's one of the means that we could spread Krishna consciousness, spread the policies and worldview of Krishna consciousness. So I don't know if anybody here wants to um, take on that service of being a Krishna conscious politician. But if one does, it's important because sometimes uh, there are sometimes devotees that get into powerful positions But then you have to, it's not enough just to be, just to say, I'm a devotee and then in this position. One has to actually push Krishna conscious policy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so that one day the high court judges of the world will be tilak wearing Vaishnavas, but it won't be that they're Vaishnavas who wear tilak and then judge according to the demoniac laws that are current. It's like you get in and then you push Krishna consciousness. So yeah, it'd be a very exciting service if anybody feels that they have the tejas to do it. I try to stay away from politics, but personally speaking, uh, but if anybody wants to do that, then uh, you know, I'm sure all the advanced Vaishnavas will uh, give their blessings.
Thank you. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada actually encouraged um, certain devotees to attempt to break into politics. I remember in particular Balavanta Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada had him running for office,
Mm,
coached him at every stage, had him wear a jacket like a suit, but with a dhoti and
mm,
tilak. It was a pretty peculiar look,
yeah.
and it wasn't going to win him a lot of votes, but that was Srila Prabhupada's strategy. Um, Srila Prabhupada, I think, was just testing the waters. He had um, experienced um, in his preaching in the West an extraordinary amount of success, much of which, was just a surprise, came unexpectedly, that, extraordinary things were happening. Incredible numbers of books sold, um, huge buildings purchased, very valuable properties. Amazing things were happening, um, by Krishna's grace and mercy. And so I think sometimes Srila Prabhupada wanted to test to see, how far will this go?
Yeah.
We're experiencing all kinds of unexpected successes. Extraordinary things are happening. What else might happen? Let's,
Mhm.
doesn't hurt to try. Let's try it and see what happens. So, he tried a lot of different things. Um, some of the things that he tried were extraordinary. I think on one occasion he had Brahmananda go into a meeting with the Macmillan Publishing House and ask them to print Bhagavad Gita for free. Um, so Srila Prabhupada's position was nothing ventured, nothing gained, and
Yeah.
he would try anything just to see, what happens, because Krishna's in control and Krishna can do anything. You never know; it might happen. So amazing things were happening. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to test and see how far can we go with this. But Srila Prabhupada himself took no interest in politics. Of course, he never voted once in his entire life,
Mhm.
neither in India nor in the United States or anywhere else for that matter. He refused to participate in the political process. He would preach to politicians and try to encourage them to behave themselves, but he himself wouldn't have anything to do with politics. Um, and to the extent that he, from his position, there is no question of um, greater or lesser evils.
Mhm.
Devotees sometimes, think in such terms, that this particular candidate is really, really bad. So therefore, I should vote for the other guy because I think he's not as bad. Um, that was never Srila Prabhupada's position. His position was that they're all bad, they're all really bad, they're all rascals, and there's no way I'm going to support a rascal.
Mhm.
Not under any circumstances. One may be a bigger rascal than another, but they're all rascals. Um, wet stool, dry stool. It's
Mhm.
all stool. Some will say the dry stool is better than the wet stool. It's a little less messy, but it is, after all, it's stool. It's nasty. So politics is like that. Um, One party, another party, all nasty. We don't really want anything to do with any of them, and you really can't even, you know, you can't really even tell what you're getting because
Mhm.
there's no honesty. Politicians, one of the primary qualifications for success in politics is that you have to be a good actor. You have to be a good liar. You say the right things. Your language has to be polished. You say what people want to hear. You never give them what they want, but you say what they want to hear, and they think, "Oh, this guy's really good." Um, but but that's not really where they're coming from. It's all a lie. It's all deceit. It is incredibly corrupt, extraordinarily corrupt, and it's not just politics. Of course, it's the whole. It's pretty much everything in society these days. In my business days, I had to deal with all kinds of businesses and different types of people, from executives and everyone from there down. And um, in in business, everything is completely corrupt, and that's just how business works. If I'm selling computer equipment, as I was at one point in time, and so a particular brand of printers is very popular, and I'd like to be able to sell that. I can't just purchase wholesale from the company. I have to work out a deal with a company rep. Um, it may, and I've been through this. You got to buy them drugs and women,
Mhm.
and you go through a whole thing. People want kickbacks and this and that, and that's the way that everything works. Nothing is what it appears. It's all extremely corrupt. In order to succeed, in order to get ahead, you have to play the game. And the same is true in politics. And politics, it's all wrapped together. Business and politics are all interwoven. The corrupt businessmen, they're vicious, but they're corrupted. They corrupt the politicians through lobbyists or directly. You spoke of parties, so that's the kind of thing that goes on at these parties. People get together and they talk
Mhm.
over a few drinks. Um, and there's a whole protocol when you are involved in these things. If you're doing business, you take politicians out to lunch. You buy them drinks, you buy them, an expensive meal, and then you talk business. So, you offer them something for their cooperation. They
Mhm.
get, through some means or other, it's illegal, but there are loopholes. There's ways to essentially pay them off. You bribe the politicians in order to get their help to do what you want to do to be able to make money efficiently. Um, and so the entire system is corrupted. Everything is corrupted by money. It's corrupt vices and also corrupt state actors. In the United States, our politicians are controlled by corrupt vices and also um, the heads of state of other countries.
Mhm.
The our politicians are paid off by Chinese, by Russians, by all kinds of people. Uh, they're and they become multimillionaires, even though you know, their rate of pay is not particularly impressive. They company, there's all kinds of ways um, to benefit and get around the laws. Insider trading is a big deal. Shell companies and revolving doors, and it just goes on and on. It's all extremely corrupt. I
Mhm.
During my business days as a young householder, I had to dip deeply into all of the this garbage, very repulsive. And of course, I refused to participate in most of it. I tried to do things legitimately, which is often a recipe for failure. It's hard to get ahead without playing the game.
Yeah.
If someone gets ahead in politics, you can know for sure and certain that they are um, rotten to the core. You don't get ahead in politics or business if you're a nice guy. You got it's if you rise to the top or near the top in the mafia, you don't get there by being a nice guy. You have to be the biggest, baddest, rottenest, you know, dangerous, terrifying personality. And
Mhm.
it's no different in business and politics. To rise to the top, you got to be a real cutthroat. That's my experience. But in politics, politicians are very, very expert. Or to be successful in politics, one of the qualifications is that you have to be very expert at presenting a false face. You have to appear to be a really nice guy. You have to appear to really be working for your constituents. But
Mhm.
it's all a lie. It's an absolute lie. So there are no good guys. People think that that they're the bad guys and the good guys. The other party is really bad. My party is good. It's not true. There are no good guys. There are no good guys. There's only bad guys. That's my experience anyway. So Srila Prabhupada's position was that he would not participate in the process. He recognized that there were no good guys.
Mhm.
He said that he had no objection to participating in politics. He was happy to vote, provided the candidate was actually a devotee.
Mhm.
If the candidate was genuinely Krishna conscious, Srila Prabhupada would vote for him, but none of them are.
Mhm.
They're all corrupt rascals, so he would have nothing to do with them. He just refused to support a rascal. Uh, and I don't know. I suppose I see sometimes that sometimes devotees get involved in politics. They will try to support some particular candidate or other because they like what they say, or they think that this individual is not as bad as the other guy, and we got to stop the other guy. So we'll go. We'll accept a lesser evil. But it's an illusion that one is better than another. They're all very bad. And politics in general is a terrible diversion for devotees.
Mhm.
It tends to consume your consciousness in a way that is very destructive. You can really get wrapped up in politics. You can become very emotional about it, and to the exclusion of the things that really matter in life. You can waste an incredible amount of time following political events, following the news, and so on. And you waste your time and you fill your consciousness with utter nonsense that will absolutely not help you at the time of death. It'll probably hurt you in a bunch of ways, but it will absolutely never help you in the slightest. It's
Mhm.
best to just completely avoid. there's no benefit. We don't want to be foolish. Um, it's, to some extent, it may be worthwhile to be somewhat aware of what's going on. We shouldn't be oblivious and appear to be foolish to people in general. Um, we should have, some sense of what's going on in the world, but we should not invest ourselves emotionally in any of it.
Mhm.
At least we should not do that. That's a mistake. It's all a mistake.
Hmm.
Anyway, that's my experience and my experience of Srila Prabhupada's position for whatever it's worth.
Thank you
Um,
for your comments, Prabhu.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah. What was coming to mind is that, uh, that is a real possibility if we invest and grow our farm communities, especially to have a presence in local politics, because, you know, rural areas tend to have a far less people than a city do. So it's easier if all devotees vote in a block to select a devotee for, I don't know, county inspector or chairman or whatever, commissioner, whatever local, mm, uh, yeah, whatever local positions there are. Maybe even something like superintendent of schools. So yeah, that was just a thought that came up, is that there actually is a real possibility if we focus on the right things and grow in the right places, we could actually make some impact in local politics,
You know, we,
national. Hmm,
we've
go ahead.
tried to do that on several occasions. Um, and, getting large numbers of devotees together in a particular location where, potentially they could form a majority,
Hmm,
have them vote so that, we would have, some significant influence over local politics. Um, it has never worked. And the reason is, uh, um, and it was a surprise at the time, but it turned out that it's nearly impossible to get the devotees to agree on what course of action to take. We have a tremendous diversity amongst devotees in thought and otherwise, and to try to get the devotees to come together on something like politics is like herding cats
hmm,
or um, or stacking marbles in a bathtub or nailing jello to a tree. It's uh, it's an exercise in frustration and futility. Very hard to get devotees to unify that way. That's what happened.
hmm,
Tried a number of times and it just failed miserably. All the devotees voted differently. You know, no one says how they're voting, of course, but when it comes down to it, you discover that all the devotees voted in different ways. They couldn't agree on what to do.
hmm,
We've tried to. There's been many efforts in the past to try to unify devotees politically, and it's never worked even a little bit. Anyway, yeah, it's an idea, it's
yeah.
a dream, but in the, in the real world, it hasn't panned out. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Do you have any comments, Prabhu? All right. It's 8 o'clock. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Huh. Do you not turn the speaker on back there? From another day. Because I was hearing myself talk, but like 5 minutes in the past. Yeah. Yeah.
Damadara Ramada Damadara Tira Radha Damadara Shyamda Damadara Radha Damadara Damadara Tira Radha Damadara Damadara Tira Lalita Shaka Lalita Shaka Lalita 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 Jaya Lalita Sita Lalita Sita Lira Sita Lalita Sita Lalita Sita Jaya Lita Goda Gita Jaya Sundar Goda Jaya Lita Goda Gita Goda Jaya Gita Goda Sundar Gita Goda Sundar Goda Gita Goda Sundar Gita Sundar Goda Ram Ram जन्म जन्म प्रभु Prabhu Bhagavati Sapam Prabhu Bhagavati Yo Prabhupada Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Prasad Nirvishesha Satya Desarine Jai Krishna Krishna Ram Nityanam Bravo, Nityananda. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yeah. So master, I thank you the ocean service. I bow down to Lotus feet with grand honor and reverence. By his grace one can cross the ocean of which you are suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. The action of his lotus feet is perfection, used lotus eyes. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates, by whom ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord master of the devotees. O Master of merciful dwells, give us the shade of the lotus feet. The fame is spread all over the three worlds, and shelter with your lotus feet. Jai.